And you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon. It's time for the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine. He's been on Fox News, NBC, ABC, and many other national publications. He's endorsed by Shark Tank's Barbara Cochran, Sean Hannity, and Glenn Beck. It's an amazing story, and we're glad you're here to hear about it. Here's Blake Sloan and the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show.
Good afternoon, everyone. Got an amazing show. Tons of great stuff to line up. Our second show here on the station. Very excited to have this show. And like I mentioned last week, have one main goal for you all, one goal for the show, and that's just to provide value. How can I give value to you all in regards to housing, making better decisions for your house, your strategy, investment properties? And so each week I will bring you more detailed information, a lot of special guests, and really just my main goal is just how do I keep you updated on, for most people, one of their largest assets. And so anytime you have any questions, you can always reach out to us, my office, 24 hours a day. We're here to hustle. Number is 843-808-SOLD. You can also go to blakesloan.com anytime, or just Google Blake Sloan Real Estate, our company, Sloan Realty Group. Tons of great information. We stream this to you on YouTube. If you're ever going to go back and watch that, always hit me up on Facebook, follow me up as well. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Like I said, I was born and raised here, third generation real estate agent, and I'm here to serve our community, which I feel very connected to, obviously, based on growing up here and doing real estate for almost 20 years now. As a young kid forever, I've kind of like getting to that point where it's a little bit older. So today's show, amazing stuff. The first thing I'll talk about, which we didn't get a chance to talk about last week, was the market numbers. They're insane right now. Huge increases. But one thing, though, I want to talk about, there's three major points that we saw a slight decline. I don't foresee that being something big, but we'll dig in and talk about exactly what that is. We'll talk about who I am briefly for anyone that missed last week's show, which I think is great. And also, I want to talk about one thing that was really a big news in our industry this past week that came out. One of the big industry gurus just talked about what's happening in real estate right now. There's 1.5 million realtors in real estate, more than any time in history. And the concern that National Association of Realtors had, and they actually brought it to him as a big trainer, was that they have the most unskilled labor force of realtors in history. And so with this pace of the market and things going on, there's a lot of concern on their part, because literally you're seeing billions of dollars that may not be captured by the homeowner based on the strategies happen. So we'll talk about that. And I'll talk about the four major problems in picking a real estate agent, just be flat out real about it and kind of show you here's what it is. The reality is most people don't have a criteria when they're picking their realtor. They just pick them based on how they feel or what they were told. And so I'm going to give you guys the raw data on here's what to do, here's what to ask. And they're really the biggest problems that you see in that aspect. And so that's super cool. We have that. We have some amazing success stories. Our team's been crushing it, been pushing super hard. And we have some really cool stories. We got people $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 more than they thought they could get for their house. Two examples of that this past week. And so we're just talking about all kinds of stuff. Really, the main thing too is a super seller's market. That's something that hasn't even been created before as a term until recently, where it's usually a buyer's market or a seller's market. It has surpassed a seller's market into a super seller's market. But just as a professional, I'm not sure how long this party can last long term. We're seeing some concern about that, some rumblings. I do think it'll go for a while here, but we want to keep that in mind, and I'll keep you all updated here as well.
Prices have really jumped.
Crazy. I mean,
if your real estate agent is not on the ball, you're going to leave money on the table. And everything I've learned from you is that is the most important thing about making this transaction, is choosing the right team to represent you as a buyer or a seller.
I've watched it 6 times this past week. We were on the other side of the transaction. We represent the buyer. We took the buyer to the agent. The agent was super happy to get an offer, but they didn't execute the right way, where they either underprice it and they took the first offer in the first few hours, versus having anybody get the opportunity to go in there. They're super happy, right? They think, whoa, it's great. We got a full price offer. And we trained our team that way. So on our buy side, we say, look, if it's in this price range, in this specific criteria, we just offer full price out the gate, the very day it's listed, minutes listed. And what most, I don't want to say average agents will do is they'll just take it, have their owner, this is great. But if they played it right, they actually could be able to allow people to get in there, create a virtual auction effect. It drives the price up. And then in that case, you capture $20,000, $30,000 more than it's, than it was just advertised for.
Which can pay for the commissions and really give you the maximum amount of money in your pocket at the end of the day.
I spent a lot of time, like actually when I was in California a few weeks ago with my coach, because this is personal to me, right? Yeah. It drives me insane to watch people who will maybe even hear us or listen to the show. They go list with some average agent listed. Let's do $30,000, $40,000. But you look at that $30,000 and $40,000, if you got kids, and you take that money and you invest that somewhere, that's a kid's college fund, right? That's college money that can put your kids in college. And that's how much the difference matters in this terms of actually choosing the right agent and making sure they execute in the right way, in the right order. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes because there's 100+ variables in buying or selling a home. And so that's something we'll really get to in today's show because it matters. And that's part of why we do this show. My big calling is really just help people understand that. And I can kind of get into that part as well.
Your passion. That's what I noticed about that. I mean, you are very passionate about your business.
Everyone asks that too, because obviously anybody's listening knows I talk fast. I do everything fast. And I used to kind of apologize for that. And I'm just intense in a great way. Like our clients love us, especially anybody from up north. Like, man, we look for somebody like you because we're here to hustle. We're here to get the job done. And we do it with love and care where my clients, love me, have great relationships. And we build, our business off of referrals. And that's the one thing that do this show. We put a lot of time and energy into an hour-long show, right? So the only thing to ask anybody that listens, if you see any value, I just ask, hey, send your friends or relatives, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake because it does matter. And if anyone listens to this after a while, just notice like, hey, what's the difference between different types of agents and how they operate? Once you start seeing it, it'll blow your mind in how much gets dropped from the execution standpoint. And I was trying to teach this to my team recently. I said, look, a lot of people, let's say go to a big city. And like, for example, in California recently, and you see a big building. A lot of people just see a big building, but a lot of times as a business owner, I see who's the developer behind it, how much did it cost to build it, how they finance that, who they're renting it to, are they renting it to commercial or retail, or what's their, and so there's so many details, but a lot of people make this mistake of thinking it's just a realtor, right? And they're all the same, and it could not be further from the truth. And so that's kind of the one thing about us. If you want, I kind of get into that part as well, which is talked about the single most important variable that determines, your failure or success as a home buyer or a home seller in today's market comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. And so the reason is in selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket. Anything's handled incorrectly, AKA they drop the ball at any point. And this could be anything from, do they answer the phone when someone calls them? What are the quality of the photos like? What's the order of the photos like when they actually do it? I was with someone this weekend. Some friends of ours had a very, very high-end home, $1 million home, and I showed them a comparable home. The first 8 photos were all the outside of the house. Well, guess how many buyers online want to look through 8 photos before they get in the house? None, right? So they get a picture of 3 and they quit, and they delete that window and go to the next property. Most agents don't understand that buyers search by way of elimination. And so we understand the buyer psychology. And so we match up that psychology to that part where we actually pictures 2, 3, and 4 are designed on selling them on looking at the rest of the photos. And so there's so many of those variables, but it could be anything from price strategy, from the day the market it's executed, do they respond to online web leads, and all these things that are happening. So I noticed they were getting dropped, especially in me on my own. It was hard to do all those. And so the first thing we did is we identified every single variable. We said, look, we know there's 118. Most agents have no clue what they are. They're just out there just trying to, hit the alligators. You've seen the alligator game when the arcade used to try to hit the alligator that pop out. Yeah. That's what most agents do, is they're just getting the lowest hanging fruit, whatever problem comes up. And what happens, they're just doing the 3 Ps. They promise the world to get listing. 2, they put it to the MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. They never actually push or sell the house. That's why you see most of the time it just gets sold by a co-op agent at a different company. And so what we did is we identified all those and created a system that's proven and repeatable. It's called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 200% more money, and it works very, very, very well. On the flip side, the same variables for buyers. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System, priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers. But the key is there's a written process where we control the variables proactively versus waiting for something to go wrong. And both those are designed to do one thing. They give you, the client, a competitive advantage in the process, and it happens the same way every single time we manage those, for sure.
Wow. And you shared with me when you came in today how many active home buyers you have on your website currently, And that number is grown to 61,934 active home buyers on Blake Sloan's website right now.
Yes, I mean that's one thing that, and we'll talk about that in a second, I guess too. Is that I guess when we get to the hot buyer section, but we outspend the average agent 101 from a marketing standpoint because of our business model. Our business model allows us to have a huge difference. How long we got for a break?
We'll be break any moment now.
All right, let's take a break real quick, and then we'll come back and I'll explain that, and I'll really break it down so you have that advantage to yourself.
All right, we'll be back with more with Blake Sloan here on Talk.
Am I muted?
Huh?
Am I muted, right? So we're way off. we're way off on that. So you got to do that first intro, right? And then you read that part here. That's why I was like showing you. But it's all good. I mean, I can navigate it well. But that way, that transition point kind of to who Blake is, and then we just talk
about past the Blake, who Blake is. You're right.
Yeah, and so then I was going to do the real estate update. Then we'll come back to that 69,000 buyers or whatever it is.
Okay.
That's all right. I just want to make sure I don't get lost because I may run too fast and we'll have too much time at the end.
So when we come back, you want me to ask who Blake Sloan is?
Yeah, or just anybody hasn't listened before, here's who Blake Sloan is. Okay. That may be a good idea.
All right.
Just since we missed that. How far are we? Like 7-8 minutes?
That was 10 minutes and 17 seconds.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So you're crushing it, dude. I'm telling you, man. I can feel what you're cooking over there.
Thank you.
I really do, and
that means a lot. I'm pretty crazy.
I'm a little crazy too, man.
I love it. That's why I like you. That's why we're buddies on it.
Yeah, I've never been accused of not having a few screws loose.
That's what the coolest part is, man. Like I said, I used to apologize for being go, but I'm like, hey, that's who I am. That's who I am.
All right, so I came in here at 11:30 this morning. I got up, I closed a deal, I painted 3 bathroom doors, and I cut my grass.
That's how me.
Then I came in here at 11:30.
Boom, I love it. That's me. 5:30, gym at 6.
Yeah, I mean,
still going, baby.
It's all about discipline and people just doing what you're supposed to do, man. Get up.
Yes, I taught my team that today on Thursday, actually.
Yep. My dad used to say, "There's plenty of time to sleep when you're dead."
That's right. I sleep when it's done.
All right, I got. I'm gonna come back with this guy right here. Yeah. All right, here we go, man. I'm bringing us back, or you bring us back. Welcome back to the.
You gonna go to Who's Blake Sloan, I guess, or then you'll go to Who's Blake Sloan, or how?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Radio Show. Tons of great information. Welcome back. We're glad to have you here listening to us. Again, one main goal is to give you value in terms of your investments, real estate. And if you have any questions, reach out, call my office right now, anytime. Save me in your phone, 843-808-SOLD. You can always go to blakesloan.com as well to get all information you want. And we're always hustling. So if you got a question late at night, early in the morning, you reach out to me. I'll make sure we take care of that for sure.
And I'm sweating just watching this guy. He is a hustler, and it's contagious. I mean, he's already gotten underneath my skin. But for any of the new listeners, just give us an update. Who is Blake Sloan, and why are you here?
Yes, so that's one thing that I briefly mentioned earlier. Born and raised here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, obviously, third generation real estate agent. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma sold real estate. I grew up in the business. My parents actually didn't want me to get in real estate. They want to be like a doctor and lawyer. I think you and I talked about that briefly last time. And I just knew I want to do it. I knew I'd be good at it. I used to go to the office. I was putting up signs with my mom when I was like, 3 or 4 years old, maybe even 2. There's some old pictures of me and her in her old car, which is super cool. And so they always did good, decent, but I always saw the person at the top of that, they had these plaques on the wall, right? The gold plaques with the names. That the salesperson in the month. I was like, I can do that one day. I know I can do that. Played sports, played football at Coastal Carolina under Coach Bennett. He had a huge influence on me in my life. I used to have this spiked up hair, and he called me Billy Idol. He said, Billy, what are you doing, Billy? So big influence on me.
Funny that I just played Billy.
Yes, that made me think about that, right? So he called me Billy Idol. So I got into real estate here in January 2005. Worked with my mom initially as a team, bought her out, started the company in 2008 as the market was crashing. We get very, very good at what we do. And so, like I mentioned, we're here to serve, been here for a long time. And I'll tell people all the time, we've been doing business a long time. We plan on doing business here a long time. So we're here to serve you. Questions, concerns, whatever it is. If you just don't know what to do, reach out, call myself, my office. We're not here to hassle you. We're not here to sell you anything. We do lots of business, and we do that by serving. And so we know even if we answer a question now, and there's no pressure or anything, you may be interested in selling 3 years from now, and you'll come back to us. And so that's what we're here for, is just to serve you at a high level for sure.
I can't imagine that there's anybody that works in your office that is not always in a good mood. You're like the Costco of real estate. Quite honestly,
yeah.
I worked in the customer service industry for 35 years. I know good customer service. And what you're cooking over there, I can smell it over here.
Thank you.
I can feel it.
Yes.
And it's exciting.
We're super passionate about culture, about, where we try to make everybody better. We don't make them, but we want to inspire them to be better. And they come work with us. Like our inside salesperson is down 60 pounds, which is super, super cool. Wow. Joe, you met Joe last week. He actually lost 60 pounds being with us. Yeah. Wow. And so we're big on just like, how do we, get better as a person and serve our clients at the highest level. We have this huge thing on our wall that excellence is all about excellence, you know what I mean? And so that's one thing that we have for sure. And then our core values are super, super powerful, just to serve the client for the long term and to deliver what they want. And if something happens where it doesn't, figure out a way to make it right for sure. And that's important for us as well.
Well, I tell you, Joe, he's been with you 7 years, I believe.
Yes.
And Joe was very informative, very well spoken, and I could see him being the front guy for your business.
Oh, yeah.
The front man.
He's like my right-hand guy. Like I said, he's our VIP concierge. So anyone that calls in, he's there to serve, make sure that phone gets answered. Like right now, if I'm here talking with you all, I can't answer the phone. And that's a big thing you see with one single agent. If you're using, Johnny single agent or Mary single agent, and they're, meeting with sellers and somebody's calling on your house to listing, they can't answer the telephone. And so they can't convert a buyer to help get them there. Or if you go with a big box store, guess what? They drive that phone call to an administration person who doesn't really care if your house sells or not, because they're getting paid hourly. And so with our system, right, it goes to our VIP concierge and someone who's incentivized to, one, know about your house, know the details about your house, every single thing inside and outside, and be able to convert them to a face-to-face appointment. Why is that? Well, I pay them a bonus to book an appointment at your house that's qualified. So tons of great information. Obviously been in the real estate business a long time. I'm super happy to be here on this station. I'm super conservative, grew up there, like you guys know, very close with Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck as well. Robert Corcoran's a mentor of mine. And so we just have a goal to execute at a very, very high level. And again, want to provide value. So one of the things I want to share is just, what's the market doing right now? I get that question the most, right? What's happening right now in the real estate market? What's going on with you? And so I'll give the quick recap for anyone that just, wants to hear what's going on. It's a little skewed right now because if you remember 12 months ago, what happened? We were all locked down. We just came off of the lockdown. And so at least for South Carolina. And so what was happening is the sales weren't in the pipeline from 1 month ago, because people weren't really buying as much. And so on average, from going 700 to 800 homes a week going under contract, and that time there was only 200 or 300 going under contract because you couldn't go inside a condo building. A lot of people were scared of their house. They wouldn't even go to the grocery store hardly, right? So what happened was it was very, very low last May. So there's technically an 80% increase in home sales, May of this year versus May of last year. Now, if you know the data and study the data, that's not fully telling the full story because obviously it's closed down. So I like to look at where huge jump, 670 single family home sales last month, which is great. But here's the crazy part. It's actually down from April. So in April, there was 770 and in May, there's 670. So 100 homes less month versus month, which is a trend I like to watch. Some that has to do with inventory. There's just not as much homes available, but I do want to kind of watch and see what's happened there overall. One of the great news though, for anyone, everybody cares about like, what's my house worth? I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time. Equity is at the highest level, pretty much of anybody that's owned here ever in regards to a house. Because if you look at, for example, the median price in January 2018, 190,000. Right now, as of today, 290,000. So
Wow.
100,000 in equity, really, in a couple of short years, which is great. So last month it came at 290,000, even up 27% from the same month last year. Interesting fact though, if you go back to April, guess what? It was 299,000. So a slight decline again from April to May of about $9,000. So interesting to watch, where that was one of the 3 things I mentioned earlier. I'm a big nerd for data because data helps me make better decisions for my clients, right? So that's something I'll continue to watch. But what is driving a lot of that too, and I'll hit average price because that was actually better too. Average price is still performing very well. Last month, average price up 30.6%. 30.9%, which is huge. Check this out. For average price, the Grand Strand right now is the highest number I've ever seen it. And I've been doing a real estate radio show of some type for 10 years. It's up 30.9% right now, $388,752, which is huge, right? I mean, think about that. I mean, almost an average sale price of $400,000. I used to get made fun of when I go to these big real estate conferences. They're like, man, Blake Sloan's in that redneck Riviera. His average sale price like $150,000, you know. And so I was with people in California, their average sale price like $1 million, $2 million. And so we're getting up there on the map because while there's hundreds of millions of dollars flowing here from up north in other areas, and that's where we're really tied into very, very well. So here's what's driving. What's driving a 30% increase in price has to do with inventory. Inventory is just scraped an all-time low. Again, right now we're at 1.0 months of inventory. Last week, we're at 0.9 months inventory. So a few more houses listed since the first of the month, which is great. And what that means is that's a hypothetical question for anyone that hasn't really listened a lot. Obviously, since it's a brand new show, people use that equation to determine how many homes in the market. A typical healthy market is 6 months of inventory, meaning it's pretty balanced, right? So anything above 6 months of inventory is a buyer's market. Anything below 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. And what the equation means, if there wasn't a single new property listed at the current run rate, how long would it take to run through all those houses? So right now it would take 1 month. So very, very, very low compared to a 6 month average, right? And so that's why you see a super seller's market right now, because there's so much money flowing in from up north. They're buying as soon as they can. I mentioned last week, one of the stories we had, listed a house on Thursday. Within 4 hours, we have 4 offers. All 4, they never seen the house before, never walked into the house, never stepped foot in the house. They could have. They just made the offer instantly. The highest one was $30,100 over asking price. Wow. All sight unseen, right? That has to do with some of the technology we use, but at the same time, that just goes to show you what's happening right now, and you got to make sure you're able to capitalize on that. So great news for homeowners. That was the one thing that was super important. Like I said, the actual inventory is down 76.2%, which is crazy overall. The third piece, though, that went down a little bit is showings per listing. So right now it's averaging 10.7 showings per listing. This is the entire MLS, right? Some don't get any showing, some get a ton of showing. It just depends on the quality, right? That's just an average. It's up 87% from last year. That's because people were scared not looking at stuff. But here's the crazy thing. It's also down from 11.3 in April. So the 3 pieces of data that are down slightly are showings per listing, which is how many buyers are on the ground looking, right? Also, what's going down is closed sales month versus month. And that's something that's super, super important. And median sales price down slightly as well. So we'll keep watching that. But that's just something to say, are people getting priced out? We are seeing some cases of what we call buyer fatigue, where they made offers on 5, 6, 7 houses and just gave up. And we see a lot too. And here's the thing. The average agent sells 4 homes a year. They're not advising their clients very well. And so when a client doesn't know and they go with some agent, they're trying to get them to help them, they're not really getting accurate data, because if you're selling 4 homes a year, you don't have the money to pay for the data. But number 2, they're not in the game, the speed to understand what's happening, right? And so we'll talk about that in a second. Really quick, just hit condos. I get that question a lot. Condo market is smoking hot right now, which is great. Why that is people who were going to buy single families before are now getting priced out from buying those. So guess what they're moving to condos. And so we've seen that shoot up too, because there was inventory. Like last month, condos, it's up 170%. Again, that's a skewed number because 1 year ago today in the same month, because we're a seasonal marketplace, our data likes to compare May versus May, April versus April, so you can kind of see. But that was due to lockdown. But 819 condo sales last month. The cool part, April, 822 condo sales. So it was down just a few, but not too much, which is great. Into prices, though, for condos, median price up 23.4%, flat for the same exact month as April at 164,000 even. And also average sale price for condos up 28.9% at 198,284, which is also pretty much flat with the same number in April. And so what you're seeing there is much more affordable, right? People are buying second homes, they're coming in. And the other key factor, inventory down 1.1 months. And so what happened was, after homes dried up, everyone moved to condos, and now they cleaned that out too. And so you're seeing that. So we're selling both those. I get that question all the time. What do you sell? We sell everything. We specialize in homes and condos. I do a lot of, some commercial stuff myself too. We have a huge team that's very, very well versed. And we'll talk about this in a few minutes. We have what we call a team of specialists. We're not some generalists who try to do everything. And so that's just something that's very, very important. One thing that's driving us in that regard, watch, is inventory. Inventory obviously has been super low, and then also interest rates. That's something that's very important. Last week's show for 30-year fixed rate interest rate was 3.13%. We got some great news this week into interest rates at 3.08%, which is awesome. A little great. I mean, that's getting great. It's not quite the low of the 52-week low, but we're looking very good there. A 15-year fixed rate, 2.49. And we'll get the rest of that. We got a quick break coming up. Okay, yeah, real quick. 30-year FHA, 2.63%. Jumbo loan, 3.13%, and a 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 2.25%. So money's cheap. If you're looking at buying, you're on the fence, take advantage of this quick little dip. You get a little advantage there for sure.
I'm feeling really good about my 2.9.
Yes, you did great. We talked about that last week.
All right, we'll be right back with more. The Blake Sloan Real Estate Show here on the call, 94.5. Look at that, man. He's running.
So we're 20?
Did almost a 13-minute segment there, buddy.
All right, good.
See, you're knocking it out. I told you. Let's get rolling, man.
I'll bring my timer next time for sure.
Well,
all right, so this one's going to be that hot buyers alert. If you want to hit that, can you find that hot buyers alert?
Yep.
And we'll intro from there. So that way you can intro it. And it'll be like, it looks just like this one.
There it is, hot buyers alert.
You read the top right here. That way it's got all the information. Because I want it to be true where they don't think I'm just telling them some number, you know? Like,
okay.
Yeah, that way.
The hot buyers alert.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And then the numbers below that.
This is going to be Blake C.
Do we play commercial in that break or no?
We did not. You know what? Let me come back with that commercial, then to music, and then to the hot buyers alert.
Okay.
That sound good?
All right. So you're gonna come back to hot buyers alert?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do. I'll play Liz's commercial.
All right.
And then hot buyers alert.
Perfect.
Okay. And Jason Britt is calling you.
That's all right.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Your phone is already at 88%, brother.
Boom.
Yeah, man. And... All right. Okay, Liz's commercial is right here, I believe.
Why would you go to?
Yep, we'll do that, and then we'll go right into music, and then the hot buyers alert, and then back to you. All right. Here we go.
You're thinking about selling your home. Why would you go to anyone else to list your home other than Blake Sloan? It's beyond me. It is like mind-boggling because Blake Sloan knows how to market your home to get an offer. He guarantees that it'll be sold or he'll buy it. But not only that, he's going to market it to the right people that are going to give you your hard-earned equity. Don't leave it behind by dismissive real estate agents that just want to close the deal. You got to get the folks at Blake Sloan Realty. They're the ones who are going to work very hard to get you the most money possible for your home. And it is a seller's market, but don't be fooled. A fast sale doesn't mean you're going to cash out on your equity the way you should. It just means you're going to sell it fast, and that realtor will move on to the next listing. What Blake Sloan does, he takes every single listing to heart and markets the heck out of it so that you get the most money for your home. If you want to learn more, visit him online at blakesloan.com or call 843-808-SOAP.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. It's a hot buyers alert, and these are hot. Blake and his team are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers who are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area from $150 to $3.5 million. If you're thinking of selling, please contact Blake immediately at 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD.
Yes. Tons great. Like, this is huge for us right now. And I appreciate you sharing that because, like you mentioned, 61,934 active buyers right now.
On your website?
Yes. And these are our web people. And this is what people always confuse it. They think, are those hits? Like, those are actual people with a username, password, account from all over. And how is that possible? And this is really, super important because I share that because I like to give facts. Like, here's the facts. I'll share you. When we meet with sellers, we're like, here's all our buyers. Here's where they're from. And I marketed all these buyers before you ever even picked up the phone to call me. And so that's the difference between us, because a lot of people, an agent waits to get the listing before they start marketing for buyers. With our business model, what makes us unique is a unique business model that we developed. It's a hybrid model. We have a team model that's in an independent brokerage that it operates as one. So there's a team of specialists. We have right at 20 buyers experts all day long, every day. All they do is they serve buyers. And so as the business owner, my job is to feed them massively. So we spend tens of thousands of dollars every month driving traffic online. Like right now on our site, the one we were just talking about with Glenn, these are real people. Right now, I got Dennis from Myrtle Beach. I got Sarah from Smyrna, Georgia. She's been on the site 174 times. I got Brandon from Myrtle's Inlet, Crystal from Charlotte. I got Tanya from Toronto, Ontario, Cleveland, Ohio, Endicott, New York, Florence, South Carolina, Buffalo, New York, and have you heard of this one before? Ashtabula, Ohio.
I have not had Ashtabula.
Okay, Ashtabula, Ohio. It says right here. Either way it is, Cami from there. She's been in the site 32 times, looked at 26 properties, and got 2 favorites. So, yeah, so you're seeing and so here's the thing. Why I share that is we have an international reach. We tons of stuff up north. And why that is, when I first got in the business, 2005, 2006, I noticed everyone who saw value in what we have here was from up north. Why is that? Well, they had a higher average sale price. They sell a $600,000 house. They come down here and think a $300,000 bigger is a steal. And so what I did, yes, lower taxes. That was the biggest. I mean, I have people from New York. They wouldn't believe me when I tell them the taxes. I had to send a screenshot from the county website. This is no joke, right? And so what I did is I learned internet marketing a long time ago. And I was telling Glenn last week, they used to make fun of me in the office. They called me the internet kid. And so what we would do is I would geo-target them based on their IP address. So based on where their computer was or, their phone at the time. And we target them and serve them ads for paid ads, which that's how you target people. Very, very good. And so we're very good at those analytics. And so we drive traffic to our site. Our team follows back up and serves them. And so what that does, though, as a home seller, is I increase the demand for your property, increase the amount of eyeballs. And I told the story last week. That's the easiest one. The classic Corvette story. Remember that one? Yeah. So you can take a classic Corvette, put it in the Walmart parking lot. You can probably sell it. But you take the same classic Corvette, put it every Corvette enthusiast website, every Corvette enthusiast magazine. Guess what happens? You drive more eyeballs, more traffic. It drives the price up, and it sells faster and for more money. It's the same thing that we do. I want you to view most agents who just put it into the MLS as the Walmart parking lot, because that's what the majority do. It'll sell, but does that mean you sold the most amount of money? That's one thing that Liz talked about in that previous message there, is that if fast market, anybody can sell, but it doesn't mean you're selling for the most amount of money. And that's what I'm seeing right now. And so while we share that, because we do need inventory, we have a system that we designed that creates a virtual auction effect. But with those 61,934 active buyers, we developed a technology that reverse engineers every single new listing. And it calculates based on an algorithm who the most likely buyer for that property is based on their previous search patterns, almost like a Facebook ad or Instagram ad. We spent years developing that. And so that gives us the ability, we can, as soon as we get your listing, we segment, we already have our buyers. So not only are we different because we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint with, 61,000 buyers, because here's the deal. Let's be real. If I was a single agent working by myself and I had 61,000 buyers and I was spending tens of thousands of dollars every month, I'd be out of business. You can't, there's not possible in 24 hours to follow up with that amount of people. But with our team model, we're able to do that, drive more traffic, more eyeballs, which drives that price up for them. And so that's the key part here. Like I mentioned, we need inventory. This morning, there is from a single family homes in Horry County, there is only 384 homes available in the entire county. And what's the population? Like 300,000 plus, right? I mean, just for the county, I don't know the exact number. I can't remember if that was a city or county, but either way, I got 61,000 active buyers and there's only 384 houses. The problem with that is they don't love them all. So they may look like this lady we just mentioned, looked at 100 plus properties. I got right here. Tracy from Conway's looked at 178 different visits here. She looked at 254 properties in the whole time she's been on the site. Wow. So she hasn't found one that she likes yet. Yeah. So that's the thing, is we may have buyers that match that instantly. And so if you don't want to hassle with putting your house in the market right now, we have two different ways we can do this. A lot of times we do a quick, instant sale. We're able to match it with the buyer immediately. That way you don't have to deal with the hassle of putting on the market and have people come through. There's so many different strategies we have. One of the mistakes that people make is they think that the traditional realtor way, right? You got to have it, you got to fix it up, you got to paint the walls, you got to do all this stuff. Like right now, you don't got to do that. And especially with the systems that we have, where we have two main ways. I have an investment firm that we can buy it out, or also we have these investor hybrid buyers where we can have them come in, buy it immediately. But what we've been doing lately, since we have 61,000 plus buyers, there's only 300 houses. We're matching them up with our buyers within the same day. And we can even go through the full, virtual auction effect if they wanted to allow buyers in there and drive the price up. It all depends on what you want. And so we're very, very good at that delicate dance. And that's one thing that super cool story. Ren on our team, she had a lady who came through an investor marketing thing we have, where people just want an investor to come buy their house. It got passed on to us because they wanted top dollar. We came in, showed her how she'd get $20,000 more dollars she thought she could, had it sold one day with a buyer we already had, who Baron on my team had. No one had to go through the house. We got her 20 more grand in her pocket without any hassle. And she was going to sell for $20,000 less to some investor if she could have gotten one, but they still wouldn't pay for that. And so that's a huge thing right now. So if you have investors calling you, a lot of times right now, they're not trying to, but their model is going to take your equity. You have a lot more than you think you do. They're just trying to make some money and do what they part, but they got to have some meat on the bone.
Yeah, and to go to the Blake Sloan website and see the value of your home.
Oh yeah.
I noticed you have a search
instantly on there. It's, it's very, very high technology. We spend a lot of money for that. But on top of that, I can probably get more than any valuation online shows right now, because the data is in arrears. So it's showing you based on what sold last month, right? Well, guess what? The market's so hot, it's higher than that right now. And so many cases, we're showing sellers $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more than the online evaluation showed them on like a Zillow or whatever it is, and it's blowing their minds. But if you make that mistake of just going anyone who's not in the trenches and who sells at home, every 16 to 18 hours, like we do, we're able to make sure that we're able to navigate that. And here's the thing. We've been trying pretty aggressive lately and getting the job done, which is very, very, very important. Some things surprise us. So really quick, I got a couple minutes left, right? So really quick, I want to give a great shout out to our team. This is a cool success story. Mary and Bob owned a house in Myrtle Beach. They're in the process of building a home in North Carolina. Not only is it important for them to get top dollar, though, the closing date was super important, because you have that delicate dance. Do you buy first, you sell first? How do you close on the right day? So thankfully, they heard about us on the radio station. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality tour. Within 2 days, within 4 offers, right? Obviously creating that virtual auction effect, driving the price way above asking price, negotiated for them to get the exact closing date they wanted, and we got $20,000 above asking price based on that strategy. And so that's what's super cool about it. Now they don't only have to worry about the closing date, because we negotiated an extra long closing for them. So some cases, if you're thinking about selling and you're worried about how do I buy first and sell first, I don't want to be stuck without a house, we're negotiating 60 and sometimes 90-day closings. We just did one where they rented it back for 6 months, sold it to a buyer out of town, cash money, rented it back for 6 months until they actually had their new place. So there's so many options you can do, because we have the leverage from a seller standpoint. And so,
quite honestly, I was going to mention that to you. A lot of people are looking, like the lady in Conway. She's looked at and been looking.
Right.
She's probably sitting on a house she'd love to sell. She'll get top dollar for it.
Right.
But at the same time, she's kind of happy with her house, and she doesn't want to settle. And there's such a small amount of inventory out there to choose from. It is taking longer to find that perfect.
Yes. And that's why our technology is so good. So if I get a house in Conway, right, my algorithm will go back and find, I think it was Tracy, right? Tracy's the one in Conway, and it'll pull and show her your property instantly. Where, again, like I mentioned last week, most agents are still trying to figure out how to send emails and do Microsoft Outlook, which is no joke, right? Like they're still sending me faxes and stuff, right? So the reality is that's something you have to have in today's time to make it work for your behalf, which is super, super cool. And so here's another one too. We see this a lot, is Pete's grandmother passed away, left her home. He was in New Jersey. The only problem, he wanted to sell for top dollar, but here's the thing. He didn't want it to have a crazy process. He wanted the process to be smooth. Thankfully, and this is cool, we were referred to us by a radio listener who told Pete to call, who was a friend from back home. And we spoke with Pete, educated the marketplace, the conditions, showed him how to get tens of thousands of dollars more than he actually thought he could get, designed a custom marketing plan, virtual reality walkthrough, and the photos. And one of the strategies we picked was just we priced it way above anything else that's sold in the neighborhood, because he wasn't really in a huge hurry. But he wanted to get most, we say that we can get you top dollar, or we can sell it faster. And I try to find the middle ground usually, right? And so we went straight top dollar, launched a global marketing blitz within 2 days, had multiple showings, traffic in there, had a full price offer, $35,000 more than anything else that ever sold in that neighborhood. And that's just one of the many, many examples. And so bottom line is, and I got 2 more pages. I'm not going to go through these, but you can see we got tons and tons of stuff. The one thing I'm seeing, though, is horror stories. There's so many horror stories right now, like I mentioned earlier, where we had a lady high in home, Paul's Island. Her name was Charlotte. She basically called us. She referred to us. We didn't really have a relationship with her. We weren't able to meet with her. We talked on the phone. We called back to try to schedule something face to face. She said she wanted to go with a local small realtor. Ended up costing herself $35,000 in what she listed it and sold it for over what we know for a fact we could have gotten her. And so that's what I'm saying. You owe it to yourself to see. We'll talk about here in the next segment of what that difference is and how to pick a real estate agent.
All right, we'll be back with Blake Sloan here in just a moment on Talk.
How are we looking?
As a real estate investor, I look for sharp agents who really know their market. Agents who do so much business, they can find me the right investment property and sell it for the most money without drama. When I need real estate advice in Myrtle Beach, I call Blake Sloan. His innovative marketing attracts hundreds of buyers every month, which creates more demand for your home, selling it faster and for more money. He guarantees to sell it on your time before it will buy it. Call the agent I trust, Blake Sloan, and avoid the drama.
I love that, man.
It's cool, right?
I love her.
She's amazing, dude.
I know.
I got like 2 or 3 more. I got to find them to send them to you. I have a 15-second, 30-second, and a minute.
Okay.
I just got to find them.
But, I've always liked her. I like, she's a little sassy.
Dude,
and
she's way more hardcore in person.
flirtatious,
Oh, yeah.
And I've always liked that about
Oh, she grabbed my butt, man. She's crazy.
All right, so that's 30. That's 23, 33. That's 36, 36, 30.
So we got what?
Give me 1 second. 36, 30, 43. I want 7 minutes, man, on your last segment.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then like I say, at the end, I'm gonna just trail out the music. We'll be done. I'll turn off your mic, and we're gonna let that music run for 30 more seconds. And that way, when I'm not here, it's just gonna transition to the top of the hour news.
Okay.
If I'm not here to run it, they're gonna try and automate a little better than we are. So that is.
Let me just see what else I had on my list here.
33, 36, 30. Perfect. 7 minutes.
All right.
And I need Blake Sloan. I don't get excited very often, man, but I'm actually excited about you.
I love it, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate having somebody that's engaged, that's a part of it.
I've been doing this 2 years.
Yeah.
And some of the shows have been like,
Yeah. What's like, at the other show, I don't get much feedback from I'm like, he's like on his phone texting. I'm like, Jesus.
Who are you doing with, Rick?
Uh-uh.
That was over there.
I'm streaming. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, that's no problem. Let's see. What else I got? Okay, so
7 minutes, you said.
yep, 7 minutes, and I'll let you know when you got 2 minutes left.
Okay. Am I welcoming back or you? You can.
Okay, we'll do it that way.
I like it.
Yeah. And I'm actually what I read this morning, I had jotted down off your notes. What I had read today, I think I want to record something to this effect. Did you like The Power of Love as background bed music for that opener?
I like something a little more like American Badass. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, the one we had last week was great.
I can't remember. Our first show.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I'll go back and look. I'm cool with whatever. Yeah, because there's that first intro of, let me tell you who Blake is. Welcome to the Blake. Somebody, Blake, and it tells our contact information. Like, here's Blake Sloan,
Right.
phone number. I just want to keep repeating that, and then we'll do the who Blake Sloan is. That way, it's kind of constant for anybody. But if I'm up here saying that, it sounds like a jackass, right? So, yeah.
I feel success with you.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Honestly, that's not everybody gets that. We feel that way. I've seen them come. I've seen them go.
I bet so. I appreciate it.
Right now, I'm doing 7 shows.
That's crazy. I know. That's a lot of hours.
Well, it's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different content, and navigate it.
Good.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Here's Blake.
Yes. All right. Last piece of the puzzle here. Got a few minutes left and just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about what's happening right now and the speed of the market. I'm getting this question so much, and that talks about, and I talked this with our team and just kind of share with some people recently, is what's happening is the market is speeding up and speeding up and speeding up, right? Property is selling within hours, within minutes, and there's a pace. So what's the problem with the pace? Now, I was teaching this, why our teams train so hard. We train every morning at 8 o'clock, 3 days a week. Then we have a 2-hour training on Tuesday and have 2 1-hour trainings on Thursday, plus outside coaches. So long story short, we're here to make sure that we have the skill sets and the mindsets, needed to navigate for our clients. But here's the thing. The speed of the market happens. What happens, and Glenn, you may know this, what happens when I try to speed something up that's super important?
You make mistakes.
Yes, that's the exact example. So what you're seeing is there's so many mistakes you made. Now, if I'm one person trying to juggle all these balls, the chances of me making mistakes are much bigger. The example I use, if I'm trying to, defuse a bomb and I'm doing it super, super fast, trying to keep up because I don't have the support and technology and team around me, I'm going to blow myself up. And you're seeing that same thing happen right now with homeowners where the agents just throwing out there trying to get lowest hanging fruit and they're costing them $10, $20, $30, $40,000. And I mentioned earlier, that number is important because that could be your kid's college fund, your grandkids' college fund. Those numbers stack up over time that could just be left on the table. So here's the last piece. 1.5 million realtors right now, the most in history. And with that, I mentioned this guy named Brian Buffini, big real estate trainer. He's talked about how the National Association of Realtors reached out to him, but they said it's the largest and most unskilled workforce in realtor history. And so you don't want to gamble right now. Why do I do this show? To share data. At least if you take anything from it, you can take the weekly numbers we give you. Next week, we'll do the micro market numbers, which is each zip code. So you can know how's my zip code performing. So usually every other week I'll alternate, which is super important. But we live with this thing. Details matter. Most agents, they just want a deal. And we'll talk about this next week, right? I guess I'll teach for next week, which is super important. I may take some heat for this, but this is super important. The 4 main problems we see with realtors are just in today's time. I grew up in the business, seen it. Number one, really, is agents will lie and tell you what you think you need to hear or what you want to hear to get the sale. See, over time, we had 2 agents recently tell people that I was dead. They had an appointment booked for us. They're cold callers. If I have one message in the show, if someone cold calls you, they're not very good at marketing. But a cold caller call, we had an appointment scheduled. They had it scheduled with Sloan. And the same person, the company, told them that I had passed away. And which unbelievable. I went there. I went to the appointment. The lady did not actually believe it was me. And I said, this is actually me. She said, well, he told me that you passed away. And that was what the agent tried to tell her to keep from coming to meet face to face with me. And so it's crazy out there. That's just a few of the pieces. And I'll share one of that once a week so you can kind of see. But that grows on, I'll talk about really how that affects all parts of your life, right? If someone comes in and it's going to do that to you and you have betrayal in your home sale and you start having that, anxiety and problems and challenges, that then bleeds into your marriage, into your relationship, the stress you carry. You don't want to carry that stress for your largest asset, which is super important. The second big problem, and we'll cover this next week, is most consumers, right, have no idea how to pick a real estate agent. They have no exact criteria, right? They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know what to look for. And so that uncertainty, guess what that does in you? It breeds stress in you. It breeds, unhealthiness. And that stress is what hurts you, make a bad decision. The third part, the average agent sells 4.3 homes a year, right? There's no money to spend in marketing. If there's 4.3 months of homes a year, they're just trying to pay rent.
Right.
They're not going to invest anything in your property. And we'll talk about the 4 big problems, what that is. And number 4, there's 118 different variables from A to Z to get a successful home sale, right? One single agent cannot possibly ever execute on all those at the same time. And so that's super important to remember. We'll talk about what's that affect. And the one thing I notice is that affects, like I said, your relationship, right? You have your largest asset. You have trust in these people. They have good intentions, but there's just not the resources to do so. And you find out these things you were told are not actually the truth. Then you find out, well, these things that they're supposed to do isn't actually happening. Or you put your property in the market, you sell it, think you did great. You find out a month later that you could have sold it for $20,000, $30,000 more. That's the crazy part. And then here's the crazy thing. You got to carry that weight with you for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And I've seen people that are angry about sales they had in 2010 that we deal with.
That's amazing.
Right?
It is something you carry with you. I've been successful on all my homes. But now that I met you, I'm wondering really how successful I was.
It's crazy where I see that all the time where they're still carrying anger from the agent that did something in 2010, 2008, whatever it is. And so just owe it to yourself to ask around. Next week's show, I'm going to share the 4 main things that we have and how to do that. And really quickly, I'll give you the 4 things. Number 1, we have a path we call truth. We live by a path of truth. The second piece of that puzzle is team. Third piece of that puzzle is technology. And the fourth piece of that puzzle is traction. So we have truth, team, technology, and traction. All those systems together is what gets you the result you want. For example, the truth, we tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, because we care about results. You have a trusted brand behind you with, Barbara Corcoran, Sean Hannity, myself, 650 plus 5-star reviews. We give what we call proof versus promises. We show you actual buyers. We don't just promise you. And number 4 about the truth, we live for results, right? We live this vision. We help you identify your vision and find out what's most important to you to get you that ultimate result that you want. And so we'll talk about team and technology and traction. How much time we got left?
1 minute.
1 minute. All right. The team part, right? We actually have execution. It's effective specialists who are specialists in what they do, not some generalist trying to juggle all the balls. Like I mentioned, like somebody at McDonald's trying to do the front register, the drive-through, and the french fries at the same time. We have experienced experts who are trained in the business for a while, and we have proactive team approach where we're able to get things handled before it's too late, because right now speed matters. Your execution matters. And so we'll come back next week. If you have anything, reach out to me this week with questions. I'm more than happy to answer it. We'll try to figure out a way we guys can call in and get some stuff, but call me at the office. Save me on your phone, 843-808-SOUL. Say it's Blake Sloan. Like I said, just save me in there right now. Anything you need, anybody you come across, friend, relative, aunt, uncle, grandma, if you like them or don't like them, have them call me, because they deserve the absolute best. 843-808-SOUL. They can also go to blakesloan.com. or just Google Blake Sloan Real Estate. Our company name is Sloan Realty Group. Sometimes people get confused on that.
Yeah. Great week. Another great show.
Yes.
Blake.
I'm be excited about the future. We'll get you guys all the info you need.
We're going to be back next week with Blake Sloan and the Blake Sloan Realty Show here on Talk 94.5.